Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the On the Gas podcast. We are back again to discuss MotoGP at Misano, World Superbike at Cremona, and everything else in between. Of course, with Martin and Bastianini colliding, and Bagnaia crashing out again, costing themselves some significant championship points. What will happen? What won't happen? We don't know. That's why we discussed it in this week's episode. Hope you enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of the On the Gas podcast. I am your host, Declan, and I'm joined by Lauren and not Cameron today.
Yeah, hello. It's a bit weird. It's just been the two of us. It's the first time in ages.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, Miss Cameron's dulcet Scottish tones.
Oh, how will anyone survive not listening to that accent for a week?
2 weeks. We've not got him next week either.
Oh, yeah. God. Who approved that?
I know. Terrible.
Anyway, I'm sure we'll survive without him, though.
Yeah, it's a good job we had a bumper full packed race weekend to talk about. Bumper jam packed is what I was going to try and say.
Jam packed? Yeah, there we go.
Race weekend to talk about with World Superbikes and MotoGP, of course. I think the main talking points being in MotoGP, but I wanted to just discuss World Superbike Series for a minute, with Danilo Petrucci taking the triple to become the first ever Moto America, World Superbike, MotoGP and Dakar stage winner, which is insane. And then somebody tweeted him, I can't remember who, and said, "Oh, you've got to do BSB and World Endurance now." And he went, "I'll add it to the list." So,
honestly, it would not surprise me if he rocked up to BSB next year.
No, it
just
wouldn't
for
either.
a wee wild card, or did a wee appearance maybe when he stops racing in World Superbikes. Like, yeah, to see him doing something like that, especially after going and doing the likes of the Dakar and Moto America, I'm like, yeah, we could see him in a few different championships coming towards the end of his career, which it's exciting because considering how competitive he still is at the minute, it's yeah, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, me too. I think he's just signed, and it was confirmed over the weekend that him and Yari Montella will be teammates at Barney next year, with Montella stepping up to the Superbike class, as I said in the podcast the other week, with Barney and the Aruba squad kind of closing up their Supersport projects, it seems. So kind of a logical step for him, especially with Huertas moving over to Moto2. Yeah, and in Supersport, just want to give a big shout out to Tom Booth-Amos as well for getting his first ever World Supersport podium.
Yeah.
That was mega.
That was
on the trial.
So cool. Yeah, really
that was really
that
good.
One.
Yeah.
Wholesome.
But yeah, 100%. But yeah, it was great to see Petrucci win the triple. It kind of came from nowhere, really. And then the day Toprak wasn't here, Ray is injured, and Petrucci was like, I know who can do the business. And if anything, Toprak owes him a beer a little bit because he stopped Bulliger taking the championship lead.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, first of all, I think Toprak's definitely done the right thing by not trying to force the comeback too early. They are racing this weekend in Aragon, so it'll be interesting to see now, is he fully fit or fit enough to be racing motorbikes, so that could be interesting, and the championship could then start swinging Boulega's way. But yeah, I think all things considered, he probably let out a bit of a sigh of relief after this weekend. And yeah, definitely Petrucci will be on the Christmas card list for sure after that. Like, yeah, nothing against Boulega in that situation, but he definitely didn't capitalize probably as much as he could have in this situation when your main title rival is actually sitting at home. So yeah, it makes it really interesting, which I'm glad about, because obviously we had Toprak dominance for so long, and as much as he's great to watch, it's now just, yeah, it's added a little bit of spice back into it. Having Petrucci win those 3 races, it's now down to 13 points, I think, between Toprak and Boulega. Yeah, I'm excited for the next couple rounds, whereas I'd sort of thought it had ran away from us. So
yeah, exactly. And like you said, it's another round this weekend. There's only 3 rounds left. We've got obviously Aragon this weekend, Estoril, then Jerez, which is where the season finishes. And I believe this weekend Yeah, so it is Supersport as well, and World Supersport 300s are back this weekend as well. So that'd be good. And yeah, it was really solid weekend for Petrucci. Interesting weekend over in the women's series as well, because in race 2, there was a 4-rider scrap for the win, and it ended with Sarah Sanchez taking out country lady. I was going to say countryman then. Country lady Maria Herrera. And a consequence of that is Carrasco won. Maria is now second in the championship. But it didn't mean that Ponziani finally got her first podium. And the Aussie rider, can't remember her name now. That's it, Taylor
Well,
Ralph.
yeah.
Yeah, and she
Can't
was
remember if
absolutely
it's
over the
Taylor or
moon.
Taylor, which I do apologize if we've got that wrong.
Yes, can't remember,
I
but
think
she
it's
was
Taylor.
absolutely buzzing. Taylor.
Yeah,
I'll find
I
out.
think
Hold
so.
on. Taylor.
I know.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Taylor
it is?
Ralph.
I thought so.
Yeah, she was absolutely over the moon on the podium. And yeah,
Yeah, chuffed for
smashed
them.
it.
Like, unfortunate circumstances for Sanchez and Herrera. I've literally just watched the crash back before we started recording so I could get a good take on it, sort of thing. I think it's just one of those racing incidents, sort of thing, and it's
Yeah,
unfortunate. And then the last couple of rounds, in fact, in all of the rounds of the Women's World Championship, there's been battles right up to the finish line. And I think that this was no different. So, unfortunately, there had to be losers in the situation, and it was Sanchez and Herrera. It keeps that championship very spicy. And I think for the first time this season, Anna Carrasco is now leading it. So,
yeah. Herrera's led the whole
that
way.
yeah, that has definitely made things more interesting, and I know between those two especially, they desperately want to be the first winner of this championship. So, as two riders who sort of came in a bit skeptical, they've fully changed their opinions on it, and they love the series, and yeah, they want to win. So, just the same as Superbikes, it's made things very, very interesting. And hopefully, both riders are okay. I know they did have to go to the medical center for a checkup, but I haven't heard anything bad. So hopefully, we'll
No.
see the both riders in the next upcoming rounds as well.
Yeah, hopefully so. And before we finish off on the women's series, just sending some support over to Lizzie Whitmore. She had an absolutely
Mm,
horrific crash. Absolutely just destroyed herself, to be honest. Spent some time in hospital and things like that. Plenty of broken bones. Hopefully we'll see her back on track soon. But yeah, that was not a nice way. And I mean, that Sekhmet team have had no luck all year
absolutely
long,
no
it
luck. I
seems.
mean, yeah, the teams had no luck, and I think Lizzie's had even less luck. I spoke to her at Donington Park after she'd had crash there and had broke her other wrist. So yeah, now she's broke her right wrist and or something along those lines, and has a few other injuries. And yeah, she was just sort of starting to get back to her feet in this class, and it was obviously her first round back. And yeah, it's annoying to see. And although there was some positives for the Sekhmet team, Mallory Dobbs was like top in the timesheets on Friday, and she'd
Hmm.
done really well and got a top 10 finish, I think, in race 1, and unfortunate crash in race 2. But the signs are definitely there that they're progressing with not only Sekhmet, but I think with all the riders in the championship too. So another great weekend, to be honest. And yeah.
Yeah, very solid. And heading over into MotoGP, I think it's great. A great place to start is, of course, with the main talking point of the race, which, to be honest, without this talking point, we wouldn't really have had much to talk about, to be honest, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really know how I think about it. I've been thinking about it since obviously it happened, and how am I going to talk about this on the podcast? And I don't,
We are talking about
I don't know
Anea
why.
and Martin.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
We
I
didn't
don't
give any
really know.
context.
Because I think it does also bring in the mistake from Pecco Bagnaia too. I think as a whole, the whole situation is sort of one. So obviously, there was an issue with Pecco Bagnaia on Sunday, and he crashed out of third place and is now 24 points behind Jorge Martin. We're back to where we started basically
Before
before we came
Mazzano.
to Mazzano. Yeah, so now we've had 2 rounds at Mazzano, and we're pretty much back to where we started. Like, I don't know what was going on. My issue with Pecco making that mistake is the fact that he hasn't held his hands up and just gone, "Do you know what? I just lapsed in judgment. I just had a mistake. I wasn't feeling comfortable on the bike." And it happened. It was very much of, "Oh, I don't know what the issue was. Something wasn't right on the bike," and seemed very much, "Oh, yep, definitely bike problem, not rider problem." And I think he should have just been like, "Do you know what? It was very me and bike weren't feeling comfortable." Clearly to see, considering he was so off the pace for quite a lot of laps before he eventually sort of found the pace again, but then clearly was pushing over the limit and the crash happened. And yeah, he looked a bit salty after the race, which I think he's within every right to do. But yeah, I think, to be honest, that's the one that I have the most sort of question marks over. The
Yeah.
incident between Enea Bastianini and Jorge Martin, I actually think is a pretty just a clear picture, to be honest.
Yeah. It's weird. I'll go into Anea and no, into Bagnaia again in a minute. But yeah, I think with
Mm.
Anea and Martin, it's such divisive because so many people are on one side, so many people on the other side. But then it feels like for many people I've seen, it's a clear cut. Well, it's just racing. That's what you do.
Yeah, I think I can see it from both sides. I think from Jorge Martin, I would have reacted exactly the same way. He was pushed completely off the track because neither rider was giving up the position, which is fair. I said it a couple weeks ago, like, why are you going to sit up and go, "Oh yeah, sure, take first place, that's fine." That's not racing. They both went for it and they both stayed like in that move for as long as they possibly could before sort of they were pushed towards the edge of the track. I think the fact that Jorge Martin sat up like with still half a lap to go and was like fuming was a bit
Hmm.
strange. The gestures he made crossing the line, I maybe personally wouldn't have done, but I could understand where he was coming from completely. But as soon as he was interviewed in Parc Ferme, he was calm, collected, apologised for what he had done, stood by the fact that he didn't think the move was fair, but was like, "Look, I'm in the heat of the moment here." Him and Anea seemed to talk to each other on the cool down lap. They talked to each other in Parc Ferme. They talked to each other in the cool down room. They were happy enough on the podium with each other. I see no issue with how Jorge Martin react. Then on the other hand, you've got Anea Bastianini. He had to go for it. Of course he did. Because again, what are you here for? You're here to win. He's seen the opportunity. He'd found it very difficult in the laps before to try and find a space to make the overtake. If he didn't make it there, I do think he had other opportunities later on in the lap, but he made it work in the first go, so obviously he's going to continue to go with it, sort of thing. I do think, yeah, pushing him right out onto the edge of the circuit was a bit harsh, but I think it was fair. Like, he didn't cause a crash. Both riders finished. They all scored points. They were able to shake hands afterwards. And he probably would have made a more dangerous move or a more rash move later on in the lap if he hadn't have made that one stick. So there could have been a chance both of them could have ended up in the gravel had
Yeah.
that move have not worked and he had to try it later on. He said, "Look, I think it's fair." And again, he shook hands and they seemed totally cool with each other. And they both respect each other's decision to have done what each other did. I literally don't see why people are up in arms about it. That's my take on it.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, we're kind of on the same page then because
Okay.
my opinion is that Anea did what he had to do. At the end of the day, they're on the same motorbike for one. Marc Marquez even said, these bikes are so difficult to overtake on that you need to be aggressive sometimes and do things like that. And if the door's not there, you make a door kind of thing
Mm,
because then they're racing. If Anea had done this move to Martin with 15 laps to go, I'd be like, right, give him a long lap because that's out of order. But because
mm,
it's the last lap, they're the best riders in the world fighting for a race win. And everyone always complains MotoGP is boring. They're not scrapping, they're not fighting anymore on track. And yet we get a race where they're scrapping and they're fighting on track and Ned puts in a pretty on the line move and it pays off for him and he wins the race. And people quick to criticize, but at the end of the day, on the highlight reels that we watch of MotoGP and the memories we look back on, it's Rossi punting Gibernau into the gravel in 2005, then Stoner and Marquez and Lorenzo again at Jerez in 2013, and other crazy overtakes like that where riders have basically done everything they can to take a victory, and that's what it's about. I mean, I don't think that Martin's gripe with it, and his main thing about it, and I get it, is he wasn't allowed or able to try and fight after that because the overtake was that aggressive that even Anea kind of run off track, and Martin then couldn't actually attack back. But Martin screwed himself over a little bit because then for the rest of the lap, he kind of chilled out. And Anea crossed the line with a gap that if they'd given him a long lap penalty onto the end of his race, Martin could have won the race. But the gap that Martin gave, I'll have to triple check it, I believe was enough that a long lap penalty still would have given Anea the victory. So Martin should have just carried on.
He should have, and what you were saying there is that Martin was saying that
5 seconds.
The move was so harsh that he didn't have a chance. As soon as he was punted onto that sort of, it wasn't a curb, it sort of goes into that like nice paintwork that they have around. Yeah. Like it's just more tarmac basically that they ran on.
It wasn't green paint, which is the most important.
He threw his arm up in the air, was shaking his head, and then continued the rest of the lap doing the same thing. Like he literally came out of the last corner shaking his head, like not fully on it, which you could see as the time was literally dropping back, and then obviously proceeded to do his gestures over the line. So yeah, as much as I was like fully justified, like you'd be angry in this situation, if it had have been investigated and if there had have been a penalty applied, he screwed himself over because he didn't try his hardest until the very last minute. He sort of had settled and accepted the fact that Anea had made the move, and didn't attempt to keep going, sort of thing. Just settled in a second place, which points wise is a good thing. I think maybe last year, even the year before that, maybe he would have gone for it, and again that could have caused an overtake that could have ended the two of them in the gravel. So I don't know, I think both of them sort of handled it pretty well. Like Martin could have, if that had been investigated, which it wasn't, I think should be made note of the incident. Like the stewards didn't even look at it. If it had been, he should have kept racing because he could have inherited the race win. But hindsight's a great thing. You know, it wasn't investigated, so he was always going to stay in second place. Case closed.
Exactly. So, and Martin hanging back put a 5-second gap between the pair of them. Whereas if it had been between maybe 2.5 to 3, along that penalty time on an air, because obviously last lap he can't do a long lap. Yeah,
well, he's just lucky that Marquez was so far behind.
Yeah, because Marquez would have done the same thing to Martin to pinch second at the end of the day. And it was interesting between the two of them. I mean, obviously we're going to Bagnaia because he's crashed again. He's actually crashed at Ducati out of more races than Martin has now. And it's like both of them don't want to win, or both of them keep making costly errors to their championship fight. You know, we're not seeing them run away with it, which we don't want to. But in the same way, I said this on a podcast ages ago, back when, Pedrosa, Lorenzo and things like that would win championships, and Marquez as well, errors were few and far between. Marquez, when he set the new points record of 420, had that one crash at Kota, which cost him 25 points. He still won with 420. If he'd have stayed on, he'd have been 30 points, 6 second places away from a perfect season. And you look back to 2012 with Lorenzo and Pedrosa. Pedrosa finished championship second with like 330 points, which is enough to win your championship in most years. And they don't make mistakes. And Rossi didn't really make too many mistakes and stuff. But then you see in Martin and Pecco consistently make errors. And it makes you wonder about, the champions of the past and what they are now. It's why... Well, they were called aliens at the end of the day. No one's perfect and people do make errors, but it is just insane to see Martin and Bagnaia make so many mistakes.
Yeah, I think I don't know what I think about it, to be honest. It's really difficult because, again, I said ages ago on the podcast, I don't think it's anything to do with mind games anymore. I'm quite glad I said that when I did, because it's quite clear to see that I don't know what it is going on between the two of them. But it's
Mm.
kind of similar to Moto 2. Like, neither of them seems to want it. One week, one makes the mistakes, and then the next week, the other. And thankfully for Jorge Martin, he sort of had the advantage when this sort of back and forth started. So now he's, got the upper hand again. Whereas coming into this weekend, it was what, like 7 points?
Something like
Pecco
that.
beat him in the sprint, took back more points. And then come Sunday, he does that. And whether it's his fault or the bike's fault or whatever he wants to spout to the media, like, he made the mistake and the mistake's been made. It's the same as Jorge Martin the week before. And it's just like, what are you guys doing? Because
Mm.
again, if these guys were racing in those championships that you've just talked about and were making the mistakes that they're making now, they'd probably be like 9th or 10th in the championship.
Mm.
Like, in comparison, I know obviously we have sprints now, so points wise I don't know, but like, I don't think they could handle that sort of pressure from a consistent rival, because
Well,
neither of them have done it.
no. And I mean, at the end of the day, you look at, obviously, we go back to Marquez, for example. So 475. I'm going to have to pause a sec because my headset's dying.
This can make the blooper reel.
There we go. It's just going battery low. Right. There we go. Charging. Right. So if we look back through seasons, when Marquez would have won the championship in 2019, there were 19 races and he had 420 points. We've done, including sprints, 15 races, I think, now. And Martin has 341. So he's what, 80 points back, 15 races into the season. Just shows that Marquez probably at this point probably had a similar points tally, 15
Yeah.
races into the season with no sprints, which is just insane to think about. But I think that highlights the consistency or inconsistency of the riders at the moment. And yeah, Martin made that costly error in the rain. Well, when the rain was kind of coming out the other weekend. And then Bagnaia crashes now. And I mean, Kyle Ride, the BSB ride, even put on his Instagram story, and said, just take third. Just take third
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. I would
And
agree.
he's right, both of them, like Martin follow Bagnaia. And I know it's so easy for us sat behind a microphone at home to say, do this, do that, but just follow Bagnaia. Take third at the end of the day. If you're dropping back, you're dropping back. A 6th place is better than a 0 at the end of the
Yeah.
day. But their egos can't handle it. But then it goes into that whole thing of you should also be trying to get the best position possible to win a championship. But I don't also think that crashing out of a race, to be fair, that's only
No.
Bagnaia's third DNF of the season. But yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but he crashes in the main races where there's bigger points is the problem.
Yeah, Martin's had 2 DNFs out of main races, but then yeah, pretty much every sprint he's been on the podium, which is mental.
I think, yeah, Kyle Ride's hit the nail on the head there. Like, and even what you're saying, I do agree. But there must come a point in a race, and say when Pecco Bagnaia was clearly not on the pace, should he and the team have not just gone, do you know what? You're far enough ahead of Marc Marquez that you can probably keep that gap. You maybe need to speed up a tiny little bit to maintain that gap, not to the point where he was. Like, he started setting lap records and all, and it was like,
Yeah,
God, that's really like sudden and out of the blue for
bizarre.
some guy who clearly is struggling. And then yeah, he crashes. Whereas if he just maintained the gap to Marc Marquez, Pedro Acosta had already crashed out, wasn't a threat. Mark didn't have the pace, wasn't a threat. Fabio Quartararo was in 5th at this stage, not a threat, or was, no, he wouldn't have been in 5th at that stage, but you had Marco Bezzecchi and Fabio and the Aprilias, none of them were anywhere near you or were going to be anywhere near you. So was there a need to push to the stage where you're setting lap records?
Yeah.
No. Could you have pushed a little bit, seeing if you could brought the gap down? Oh no, you've tried it for 2-3 laps, it's not working. Okay, I'm just gonna sit in third place. And you get a wee thing on your pit board, and it's just like, okay, like relax, stay put, and we'll take home the 16 points. We'll let the two guys at the front battle it out, and we'll see if we can get Anaya past and take some points off. Would
Yeah,
have been the
that's
sensible
it.
thing to do. And I know you're saying, oh, we can sit here and say this, but like the team plays a part in it too. Like they'll be sending him messages on his pit board, and like you've seen them before where it says like breathe to riders or like
Yeah.
calm down and keep
Or
your head
P2
sort of
okay
thing.
and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. So they're as much to blame too, because unless they did, obviously I haven't seen his pit board, but like did they all just go, oh, do you know what, he looks like he's got the pace, let's go for the win here? Because if they did,
Mm,
that's totally the wrong
yeah,
thing
and
to have done.
it's crazy because even before Mazzano, we were saying Bagnaia's probably got 2 wins locked out here. Yeah, it's his backyard. He got his first ever MotoGP podium here. It's he trains here all the time. I think he holds a lap record on a stock Ducati V4S as well around there. He's always riding around Mazzano, and yet to make these costly errors, and like you mentioned, if the bike's not doing well and you're struggling a little bit, why on earth are you setting lap records?
But as much as, yeah, you look at Pecco and you look at Mazzano and you go, yeah, home race, he's going to absolute dominate here. Don't forget Pecco's had bad races around here in the past.
Yeah,
2021's obviously the one that comes to mind where he did the same thing and he was in solid points. Can't remember where he crashed out from, but he was in
second or
solid
first.
points. Like, yeah, okay, you're not going to win it, but the whole point of that day in Mazzano in 2021 is you need to finish ahead of Fabio Quartararo and you'll take the championship to the next round. Now, obviously, it was
I'm
all a
sure
bit
he crashed out of
strange
a
that
lead,
year. Yeah, maybe. But Fabio had a terrible qualifying that day, so literally all he needed to do was finish the race
Yeah, that's
and
it.
crashed out, and boom, Fabio Quartararo was world champion. And
Yeah,
you never know what could have happened if Becco had managed to stay on and take home those points.
yeah. He just, as we've said many times, Pecco, when he's on it, untouchable. He's smart, he's clever, he's calculated, and you don't want to be on a track with him because one, he'll outbreak you. Two, he's got a strategy nailed. Then some days it is genuinely like he's left his brain in the motorhome and it just comes into a mess. And it's whenever there's pressure on. When he's chasing Fabio in the championship, when he overcame 91 points, there wasn't any pressure. It was like a try it. If you can do it, you can do it. Great. Now Martin's pushing him and he's like, right, Martin's ahead. I need to make sure Martin doesn't run away with it. He's crashing and making these costly errors when he could have just sat. Like I said, even if he was losing 3/10 a lap for 10 laps, that's 3 seconds, maybe fourth or fifth place. That would have put him, which is
Yeah.
absolutely fine.
Yeah, this this is the thing with them, and it just doesn't make any sense. It makes me think for next year as well of
Having
like
Mark,
neither of them, and this is Martin and Bagnaia, can come into next season with whatever mentality it is that they have this season or whatever sort of gremlins that they have going on this season. Like you can't keep getting away with it. Basically, someone will eventually find something, whether it be another Ducati rider or another manufacturer finally makes it click. Like you're not going to be able to get away with what you're doing just because you're on the best bike on the grid
yeah,
anymore. And I think, yeah, that could happen as soon as next year if they keep
yeah,
going the way that they're going, or even as soon as this year, because Enea Bastianini is what, 60 points back? Massive feat, massive, massive, massive feat. But if these two keep doing what they're doing and say both of them end up crashing out in the same weekend, or both of them end up scoring no points in a weekend, that comes down a considerable amount. And, Bastianini's been there and thereabouts. I think Marc Marquez is 1 point behind him. So, he could still even be in with the title fight. And yeah, maybe that's what needs to happen is a big chunk needs to come out of the third and fourth place for them to realise, oh God, like we don't like I'm not just playing with this one other guy. Like there's other guys who could come in here and take this. Literally, I've got my hands on the trophy, and they could just steal it out of my hands
Yeah,
if they keep doing what they're doing. Because I don't want to say it's stupidity, but it's hard to look past it. Like, what are you doing?
yeah,
It's just
because
mistake after mistake.
and the risk of getting injured in a
Yeah,
crash as well. For example, I mean, Anea is 35 points off off Bagnaia in the championship at the moment. If
35. Oh my goodness.
that's how close it is, Mark's 1 point back. Mark's 36 behind Pecco. Anea's 59 from Martin,
Oh, there you
and
go.
the difference between first in both races and second in both races is 8 points. So if you get second sprint and second in the main race, you'll get 29 points. If you win both, you get 37. Anea, what's 8 times 6? I'm not sure. My math's terrible these days. 8 times 6 is 48. So actually, Martin could win every race and win the championship still.
Mm.
But is he going to do that? I mean, he crashed at Phillip Island out of the lead last year. Or no, he didn't. He destroyed the tyre, didn't he? I think it was
Yeah,
Indonesia he
he
crashed.
crumbled in the last couple of rounds of the season last year. He made that silly mistake, and
Yeah.
Valencia, he did something really
Not
stupid too.
Markov, didn't he?
Oh yeah. And he started from way back because he'd had bad
Yeah.
qualifying and all.
That's
Yeah,
But whilst the pressure's eating these two up, Aeneas like, I'm at KTM next year.
yeah,
I could take a number one place to KTM. You lot can soak up the pressure. I'm just going to do what Bagnaia did when Fabio was in the lead and just
yeah,
do what I want, take the wins. There's no real risk. I mean, third and fourth place will obviously pay the money he'll get for finishing third over fourth is quite significant in terms of, manufacturer bonuses and things like that. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have that much to lose. And if Bagnaia has 2 DNFs in one weekend and Anea wins both races, suddenly Anea's second in the championship.
yeah. Which
It's
I
all it
like.
takes.
You could see it happening as well. Like it's not like that's a big wild accusation to throw out there, or like, God,
I mean,
that's
look
never
at
gonna happen.
Toprak. We were like, Toprak's going to win it. Well, Superbikes, suddenly he's missed 6 races and could also miss Aragon this weekend. But it's a 9 races from a freak accident. Obviously, don't want any riders to get injured. I would hate this
No.
championship to play out by somebody getting injured. But at the end of the day, if you're chucking it at the scenery through stupid mistakes, it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of them have haunting nightmares of mistakes that they've made this season, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like Jorge Martin must literally want to cry every time he looks at pit lane and Mizan.
Yeah, honestly.
So, yeah, I don't know what's going on in either of their heads. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in both situations because both of them are doing exactly the same thing. And
Hmm.
it's so strange. And I just think if imagine there was one other rider in this situation who had maybe been a bit more consistent at the start of the season, say an Bastianini, who maybe
Yeah.
now was slightly closer in points. I wonder how they'd be getting on. Or I wonder if it was a situation of put them, put them in third and fourth place, switch them and Naya Bastianini and Mark Marquez and put them 1 and 2 in the championship and put Martin and Pecco third and fourth. I think you'd see two very different scenarios. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what's going to happen in these next 6 races. Mark and Anaya don't have anything to worry about. Look, if they finish third, that's a big bonus. Yeah, whatever. Quite literally a big bonus. Paycheck
Yeah.
and for the fact you get to go to a wee awards ceremony and
Yeah.
third championship's not to be laughed at. So for the other two guys, yeah, I think they just
Yeah.
need to knock their heads together.
At the end of the day, 36 times 6 is 222. 222 points left to play with.
37 times 6.
That's it. Sorry, it is still 222. I literally did the maths in my tab of 37 times 6. I don't know how on earth I said that. But yeah, 37 times 6. So at the end of the day, I'm stunned that Marcus is still really in it as well.
Yeah.
Because he's on last year's bike. And that's the thing you said about, they can't afford to make these mistakes next year. Straight away, Martin's on the back foot on an Aprilia. And then Bagnaia suddenly got Marquez next to him, who is on the same bike as him, can now have a say in the direction the bike goes with in terms of development towards Mark.
And say he loses the number one plate. So he loses the
Yeah.
number one plate and he gets Mark Marquez as a teammate. I'd go
Mark
home.
Marquez, who deals with pressure absolutely fine. I mean, at 22 years old, he had pretty much all the pressure in the world on his shoulders at
Pressure?
2015.
What pressure?
What? Yeah, pressure. That's what you put in your tyres.
Bellingham, Saka.
Great reference.
Pressure? What pressure?
Yeah, it goes in
Yeah.
tyres. But at the end of the day, Mark has dealt with pressure since he was probably about 15 years old.
Yeah.
And like we say, nothing comes close to 2015 for Mark Marquez. So if he can deal with that, he can deal with having Pecco Bagnaia next to him. And that's where Mark, I mean, look how consistent he's been this year. It's actually incredible given the fact that he's on a GP23 to be
Yeah.
this close to Anea, but 1 point behind him. The next best GP23 in the championship is Diggio in 10th with 121 points, so less than half what Mark has.
Yeah, and you think Diggio, who'd been on such a good run, injury now plaguing him, and we probably could see him doing a lot better than what he is doing currently just because of an injury that has sort of stumped him a
It's
little
hindering
bit.
him. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you got Bezzecchi 1 place back, and then Morbidelli on the 24 in 12th. Obviously, he's come from a Yamaha, so you can't really compare. But that's the thing. Next year, they can't afford to sit around because Mark will be consistent because he's done it time and time again. And, people say it's boring when he's winning every race. But at the end of the day, you need to be good enough to be consistent enough to battle him every race because he is the man who picks up all the pieces. Every time one of these makes an error, he takes place
Well,
on the
yeah,
podium.
he's on the podium all of a
Yeah.
sudden. A guy who was like, to be honest, fourth in the sprint was literally the best outcome. Then,
Yeah.
looks like fourth in the race was the best outcome, and then that mistake happens. And if any further mistakes had happened up at the front, all of a sudden, oh, he's second, oh, he's first, I'm going to take
That's
all
it.
those points.
Well, Mark's had 4 fourth places this year. 3 of them have been behind Martin, Bagnaia and Bastianini. So he's the 4th best rider. And like I say, any of them make a mistake, he's there to take it. And if you make too many mistakes, he's there to take your place in the championship as well because he's right there. So it will be interesting the next 6 races to see who's going to make a mistake and who's not. Who's going to crack under the pressure, who's not. And I genuinely could see Anea walking away with it.
Yeah, I as it stands at the minute, leaving Misano, I'm probably coming into Misano. I'm backing Jorge Martin at the minute, just with the points difference, back to Anea too. But in a week's time, I could probably sound really stupid because say both of them at the front have imploded, and Anea Bastianini gets 37 points, and all of a sudden it's like, oh. But I think
the championship.
Yeah, I think with what we've got at the minute, the momentum is back in Jorge Martin's favour.
Yeah.
The big thing is coming into the flyaways, we're going into mixed conditions, which Marc Marquez showed that he's good at in Misano with mixed conditions. Like we could get rain, we could have really hot temperatures, Phillip Island can do anything, so you never know what's going to happen there. And then we go back to Valencia. Yeah, we go back to Valencia in the middle of November where it could be freezing cold. And that could be literally where the championship is decided, like it was last year. And it could be down to, say, mixed conditions and weird weather and silly mistakes. So I'd like to see one of the two who are at the front put in a good charge in these flyaways and stop with the silly mistakes. I want the championship to be won by the dominance, and I want to see battles on track.
Yeah.
I know they're struggling at the minute with overtakes, etc. But just, yeah, I'd love it to play out that way. I don't want it to just who didn't or who scored points at Valencia. Oh, the other one slid off and crashed. Oh, so they don't win it. Like that's just not how a championship should be decided.
No. Heading into some different riders. Gutted for Fabio Quartararo to run out of fuel from 5th place, finish 7th at the end of the race. That was a big shame, honestly. Like, he had a really good weekend. Straight into Q2 on Friday. Had a really good sprint. Yeah. And, sorry, are you going to say something?
No, carry on.
I was going to say, but not only did Fabio have a good weekend, obviously Rins was out, which is a big shame. Luca Marini is now not the last place Honda in the championship because Mir and Marini were 11th and 12th, which you're like, what the hell, Honda? That sucked. But for them to.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Number one, Fabio. He's obviously not talking nonsense. Like a few people have sort of tried to say that he is over the last couple of weeks, going, "Oh, yeah, sure, you're saying Yamaha's making steps in the right direction. Yeah, I'd do
They
the same for
confirmed a
12 million."
V4 next year now, haven't they?
Yeah, but that's confirmed too, which we did talk about a couple of weeks ago, whether it was last week or the week before. So we now know that that is definitely happening. You come into the weekend and your teammate pulls out because he's not well. You've got to do it all on your own. And he starts ninth and he finishes, what, seventh in the sprint and seventh in the main race. Should have had a fifth in the main race. Silly little, not mistake.
Fuel.
It's just a thing that can happen, unfortunately. Like everyone was like, oh, how'd the mechanics manage that? And I've seen a few things on Twitter of just like, it genuinely just
It can happen
an
if the
honest
bike runs a bit
mistake.
leaner
Yeah.
or more full
It's
or richer.
it's a like a freak mistake basically that just no one could have predicted that that would have happened. But I mean, I'm sure he'll be happy enough with seventh, all things considered, where he was at the start of the season, and to do it on your own. So absolutely fabulous. Then when you look at the Hondas and you're going, wow, you're talking about 11th and 12th, but like surely that's like double the amount of points for Luca Marini in one race than what he
Yeah,
scored
he's
all season.
2.5 times his championship points standing from from 1 point to 5. So actually, he's 5 times it, which
Wow.
is insane. But yeah, Mir got a season best of 11th as well, which bagged him 5 points, which again, he was on 15, so now he's up to 20 points in the championship. Fabio, that 7th, equaled his best result of the year. He's had 3 7th places now. But yeah, Honda look, it was better. I'm not going to say they look great, but it was an improvement at least. And
No.
they're
Well,
ahead of Ralph Fernandez,
yeah,
which is really good.
Augusto, I think, as well.
Yeah, Augusto was 18th. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Augusto. I can't believe he's 27.
Yeah, that surprised me. I thought he was
That
my
did.
age.
Yeah. I thought he was younger than 20. No, older than 27, to be honest.
Oh, I thought the
Yeah.
opposite.
But
There you go.
yeah. But yeah, like really good for Honda at the end of the day. It might just be a freak incident or a freak weekend, but nice to see that all 4 Hondas. Oh no, Nakagami wasn't. 3 of the 4 Hondas were in the points, and it
In the
wasn't
points.
because there were loads of crashes. Because the only real crashes were Binder and Pecco
Costa.
and Acosta. Yeah, of course. And Miller and Zarco scrapped for that last point.
And
I don't know
Zarco
if you
got
saw
it?
the photo. Yeah, Zarco got it. Did you see the photo of Zarco absolutely
Yeah.
sending it under
Yeah.
Miller?
I had
Yeah,
seen that Miller had dropped back and sort of made the bad MotoGP memes joke and was like, oh, he's put it in reverse.
yeah.
But yeah, don't know what's going on there. I mean, Brad Binder and Pedro Acosta the same, like a bit of a
Well,
nightmare weekend for KTM.
well, Binder and Acosta are next to each other in the championship, and right now they're handing it to Vinales and Aleix, who are right behind them in the
Yeah.
points.
Who were what? Ninth and 10th?
Yeah, now they're 8th and 7th, and then it's 6th and 5th for Acosta and Binder. We also had confirmation of Miller to Yamaha, Pramac Yamaha, didn't we? On
Oh, yeah.
Thursday. So the final piece in the grid is complete for next year.
Can't say I jumped for joy when I seen it. I mean, we knew it was
Oh,
happening, but
yeah, I was like, well, Sergio Garcia had an offer, and somebody somewhere said no, as in stopped Sergio get signed the contract.
well, I've been sort of told that the reason that Sergio Garcia has been getting on the way that he's been getting on is because the contract didn't go ahead.
Same
And
happened with Trackhouse as well.
yeah, with the offers being on the table, I think someone from his team maybe had mentioned it because like on TNT Sports, they've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks of like how that has mentally affected him. And then he got himself injured, and then obviously was it last week we seen him literally in tears
Yeah,
after racing. So yeah, it's really sad. Like it's
it is.
genuinely really really sad, and it's nothing against Jack Miller as like a person or anything like that. Like it's great to see him staying on the grid. I don't want to see anyone leave MotoGP, and if he can be that puzzle piece that Yamaha needs, then I'll let that happen because I want them to be back at the front and I want more competitive bikes. Do I agree that it was maybe the right move? No, but if he shocks us all and proves us all wrong, then I'll be pleasantly surprised. So I'm
Yeah,
not mad about it. I just don't fully agree with the decision that they've taken.
Interestingly, 1-year deal.
Yeah,
Oliveira's there on a
Miguel's on
2-year
too.
deal.
Yeah,
I guess it's to aid the development of the bike, of course, and switching to a V4, it makes sense to have Miller and Oliveira on there because they
yeah.
know what a V4 is like and the characteristics. I mean, Rins had 1 year on a V4 as well. Fabio's never ridden a V4 MotoGP bike, so that's going to be an interesting one. Only an implant for Fabio. So having their knowledge will help, absolutely undeniably.
I think they're just sort of playing it safe.
Yeah,
They've signed one of the guys for 2 years, and they're fully probably looking at that 2027 project, and then they've signed the other one for 1 year. If they decide to change their mind and go down the route of a rookie, or maybe someone else's contract is up at the end of 2025 that they maybe have their eyes on for a year or a couple of years to then also aid the 2027 project, then maybe that's the way that they're going. So that makes a lot of sense that they've signed one of the guys on 2 years and the other guy on one. I think they do the same with Fabio and Rins as well. I think Rins is sort of,
he's on a 1 now. He's got a 2-year deal after that. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I think they're just playing it smart and sort of like
yeah,
playing chess with their players, sort of thing of being like, we don't
yeah.
want to lock ourselves into anything too long
For a
in
rider
case
who's struggling.
yeah, in case we need to
Yeah,
get ourselves out of it and move ourselves in a new direction,
yeah,
especially with this new V4 coming and the new rules coming in a couple of years. So
yeah, 100%. Speaking of Moto2 and Sergio Garcia, he did have another crash early on. I don't know what's going on at all. He needs to see a mental health specialist at this point, I think.
yeah, I think a sports psychologist would be very, very good if he is not speaking to one.
Yeah.
I would recommend that he does. Not that he listens to this and will take me
No.
up on my recommendation there, but if you are Sergio, just reach out to someone. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's helped and worked with a lot of other riders in the past. So he's just had to come to terms with a lot. So I'm really not surprised at this crash, to be honest. I think his focus has been completely elsewhere, and it's really unfortunate. And Iagura did that thing that we were talking about earlier in the podcast episode of, look, you see the guys ahead of you, the bike's not up for it today, just sit where you are. He was fourth in the end. That's all he
Yeah.
needs.
Mm.
If your main title rival is making mistakes like that and he would have known that Garcia is out, don't push it. He's 22 points ahead now, just like
Yeah.
that. Easy.
Yeah.
That
That's it.
does it. The
Take
guys
the
in front of
fourth,
you,
Pecco.
yeah, the guys in front
Take
of
the
you
result.
also aren't in the championship fight. Like Aron Canet's nowhere, Tony Arbolino's nowhere,
Yeti's
like
not.
Vietti's nowhere. Like in terms of championship, you don't have to worry about those guys. They take a couple points off you, that's cool. But it's Sergio Garcia he's got to be worried about. Joe Roberts is behind him. Jake Dixon crashed, so
Yeah, that's it. So Dixon's title
Vermaine's
hopes
been
potentially out the
nowhere.
window. Yeah.
Yeah, so Iagura did the
Yeah.
right thing,
Yeah, he did. At the end of the
but
day, well,
it's disappointing for Sergio, and that's all that
it's
can be said.
yeah, it is. And Igor, like you said, is 22 ahead of Garcia. It is a bit of a scrap for third, though, with, well, Manu Gonzalez in ninth place has 120 points. Roberts has 23 points more in third in the championship. And then if you take
Wow.
Arbolino into it, there's 30 points separating third and 10th in the championship. So it really is anyone wants to play for. And I could genuinely see Arbolino climbing that. If he continues like this, 3 podiums in a row, take some wins, Arbolino could climb, maybe not to win the championship, but top
No, but he
3,
could be
like
third.
what
Yeah,
Aldeguer did last year. But Aldeguer was very good in the flyaways last year.
he was. But Tony Arbolino has also proved in the past that he is good in the flyaways. I think at Thailand in the rain one year.
Yeah,
Like
Sepang
he
as well.
can, yeah, he can win those sorts of races. And obviously, neither of them have been consistent this year. Don't know what's going on with Vermaine. Tony struggled at the start of the season, but has sort of gone back to his setting that he feels more comfortable with. And it seems to be working,
Yeah,
clearly. So, yeah, with those two, I would expect to see both of them up at the front end for these next 6 races, considering the last couple of years. For me, obviously dominating last year, Tony being up there last year and the year before. being at the front on those flyaways. So
Mm.
it could get spicy for the championship.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I hate to laugh, but I did laugh my head off when
Oh.
he had a win in his sight.
Oh
And
no,
I
don't.
literally typed out a caption, was like, Aron Canet wins his second ever race. And then Vietti steals it from the line to give Aron Canet his 18th second place in Moto2.
Do you know what? Yeah, we shouldn't laugh because it
No.
is.
It's got to be
It's
heartbreaking. You
heartbreaking.
see his Instagram posts of
Heartbreaking.
him posting his younger self, like,
Yeah, like
I'll
him
make
as a
you
child.
proud.
Oh, I know what he said. He was like, "Oh, me and my girlfriend were talking about this, and like, I wanted nothing less than the win today." And then he goes and does that. Like, he literally got handed it on a silver platter. Like, Tony Arbolino had made the mistake, and you're sort of going, God, yeah, there you go. It's handed to Aron Canet. All he has to do is race one last corner, and he has got this in the bag. And you can see it when you watch it back in slow-mo. Neil Hodgson even pointed it out, which made it really obvious then when you watched it in the slow-mo. Like, I don't know what he was doing, but Vietti played an absolute blinder.
He
Like,
did.
that
He
was one of
just
the
sat in
best
there.
last 3 laps of Moto2 I think I've ever seen. The way that his bike was clearly like, oh my goodness, I
Flying
can't believe he stayed
sideways
on.
and yeah.
And then Arbolino starts making similar mistakes, and then obviously the last lap comes round and Arbolino looks like he's got it in the bag, makes the mistake that he makes, manages to stay on and salvage 3rd place.
Apparently he had a leg cramp or something and couldn't go
Yeah,
down, and it put him into a false neutral, and then
yeah,
only clicked him out of it when he was a bit too late.
yeah, which is
But
annoying, but I mean, did you see him at the end of the race? He like went over. There was a little grandstand with
yeah,
all
and he
his
was holding
fans,
onto
and
the
he literally
fence with
was
his head
like
against it.
on his knees, like
Yeah.
crying, and you could see him holding back tears in the Park Ferme interview as well. And it's like gut wrenching.
He was
Thank
probably been
goodness he
itching for
stayed on the
that feeling.
podium. Oh, I know. At his home race or one of the home races as well, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure he
it.
doesn't feel as bad as Aron Canet.
He's been sat. Aron Canet, the amount of times he's been beaten on the last lap, or probably crossed the line second with the first place right in front of him. Because I was listening to the Off Track podcast with Alonso Lopez the other day, and Lopez was like, "That feeling of winning, it's why we do it."
Yeah,
And that feeling of second, and knowing how close that feeling is, and close you are to that ultimate elation of that P1 that riders when they quit and retire chase that feeling
yeah.
and yearn for that feeling, and being second that many times for Canet and being that close, as in you're led onto the straight and you still finish second, that would hurt.
And it's not like the finish line in Misano is like down a really long straight. Like,
It was right there, really.
oh my goodness.
It'd be,
Yeah.
yeah, God. Yeah, he finishes second a lot. Yeah, it's mental. So
I've no words, to be
no, I
honest.
feel bad for him. But
I do.
it was also confirmed today that Philip Salach, who was actually told earlier in the season that there was nowhere for him to go, will ride for Mark VDS next year. I already kind of think I've said it on the podcast before, but someone has again confirmed it to me that Tony Arbolino and Izan Guevara will link up at Pramac Yamaha on the Bosca Scuro next year. So
I
that'd be
think
interesting.
VDS were probably waiting on what Tony Arbolino was doing because Tony
Yeah,
is outperforming Salah at the minute. So
everyone's up for Salach super.
at this point in the championship, obviously they've signed Jake Dixon. In my head, it would make more sense to keep Tony Arbolino, but if Arbolino has received a better offer to go elsewhere, which by the looks of it, to link up with that Pramac squad, pathway to MotoGP,
Yeah, that's why maybe Miller's on a 1-year deal.
yeah, this is what I'm thinking. Guevara looks like he could do with a bit of help and support, in fairness too. So again, a guy who's been pipped for MotoGP since he won that Moto3 championship. So again, makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I think VDS were probably just waiting to see. They obviously put their offer on the table, and Arbolino has decided to go elsewhere, which, with the bigger picture in mind, makes a lot of sense.
Perfect sense, yeah. That's it. Unless Arbolino wants to go to World Superbikes, which I don't think he does. But Yeah, and then going into Moto3 before we do the predictions, it was confirmed Rushi Moodley, South African rider, confirmed to Bowie. Interesting move. I think lots of people are kind of thinking that it's a bit too early, are kind of on the agreement. Had some very good races in Junior GP and Rebel Rookies, but we've not really seen him fight for a title. But you never know, because we've seen riders in Junior GP do okay and then step into World Championship and do very well. The best way you can learn is by being in the World Championship, because you'll see the level and you'll have to match that level consistently. So good move for Moodley. Waiting on his teammate at the moment. I do know a rider earmarked for it, but they need the cash. I'll be very excited if they do get that seat, but I don't think they will. But yeah, and Alonso won his eighth race of the season. He's now tied with Nico Terol for 125/Moto3 wins. And yeah, 8 wins in a season. I think the title's his. Just saying. I don't
I
know what gives me that impression, but
don't know. Yeah, I think what was more impressive than his 8th win was the fact that he rode a unicycle as a celebration afterwards.
I love him. He's
That's
such a
really
character.
difficult.
In a leather
Leather
suit.
helmet?
Yeah.
What? Like, that
Unbelievable.
was incredible. And then when he literally leapt off the unicycle into the gravel and they showed the crash, like David
Yeah, that
Alonso
was really
crash,
good.
which was really funny. So yeah, I just thought the whole thing was absolutely fantastic, and it's just so interesting to see him bounce back from a 7th place the week before. He was really upset with himself and he sort of got beat up into it, and then he touched the green and was demoted a place. And yeah, I think he'd sort of let the race sort of get ahead of him. And yeah, to bounce back like that and go ahead and take the win in the way that he did was absolutely incredible, because the likes of Piqueras and Holgado and even Colin Varr at one stage were throwing the kitchen sink at it. So again, it just proves his talent and the talent of the other guys to keep up with him, because he ups that pace at one stage in the race, because the group was about 14 riders. He ups the pace and those 4 guys stayed with him. And yeah, that top 4 were absolutely fantastic. Very disappointing for Danny Holgado to miss out in the podium because he touched the green on the last lap.
Yeah.
That was very, very
Controversial.
annoying. Controversial, I do agree, because I've seen the picture and
And it doesn't.
yeah,
It may have triggered the sensor by hovering over it, maybe,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
like
don't
a
think he touched
shadow or
it.
something. Yeah, like not
Well,
happy with it, but you just got unfortunately have to move on for those things. Because I fast forward through the adverts, I was a couple minutes behind, and then I see them interviewing Colin Varr, and I'm like,
you're like, what?
sorry,
Yeah.
what's
Well,
going on here? As much as I
if
love Colin Varr, I was just like, you shouldn't be here. But
Holgado would be doubly annoyed by that, because that demotion and promotion for Via means Holgado and Via are now tied on championship points, with both with 189. But Holgado takes second at the moment because he's had more race wins and then
yeah,
count back to more seconds if they're tied on it.
yeah.
So that'll have annoyed him, because then suddenly there's no advantage there and
I
he
think
can
the good
outscore him
thing
by one
is
point.
with all those guys though, so they're all moving up, is the big thing. So as much as it may be disappointing to lose out in the championship, you can sort of go, they'll come to a stage now in this championship. I mean, David Alonso could wrap it up quite early, so
Yeah.
there'll come a stage where it could get interesting in what goes on with the race wins, because they're all moving up next year,
Yeah, the
and
top
it'll go
4 are
like,
all moving up.
yeah, we've got nothing to prove sort of thing, and we're just gonna have fun with it. So I think these next 6 races could be really, really fun, and especially when David Alonso inevitably ties up the
Wins it
championship.
like 4 races early or whatever it'll be. Yeah, I mean, Piqueras is up to 3rd in the championship now. Third, sorry,
Really? Oh,
fifth.
I was like, how is
Yeah,
that
but
possible?
he's got 118, and he's the best of the rest, because then Ortola's ahead of him with 184. So it's not viable for him really to make that gap up. But
Is he staying with Leopold or not next year?
no, he's going to MSI, and the Moto3 rumors are so the current Junior GP points leader and Rebel Rookies champion, Carpe. Is it Alvaro Carpe? I always get it confused. I should know this because I banged on about him. Alvaro Carpe, because I banged on about him at the end of last season and said
Yeah.
he will be the champion this year because he was third in Junior GP, third in Red Bull Rookies. So he is likely to go to Intact GP. It was Intact, then it was Leopard. Now it's Intact because he rides a Husqvarna in Moto3 Junior World
Okay.
Championship alongside Tairo Sato. Was the rumor, but then it looks like it'll be Munoz and Carpe instead at Intact, and then maybe Furusato stays. But with Piqueras going to MSI, I think Yamanaka will stay in that team. There's a seat open at Leopard, which there was a rumor about it. Maximo Quiles taking it, but Maximo Quiles is now rumored to go to Io alongside Rueda. So whoever takes that Leopard squad spot, not really sure. Maybe, well, I don't know. I don't really know for Leopard, to be honest, but
Yeah, it
maybe
could be
for
a
a
Honda
Sato,
rider. Yeah.
yeah, or Lanetta maybe. I'm not really sure on that one, to be honest. But Patel's obviously signed with the MTA squad for next year on a KTM. Yeah, we'll see. The MTA livery, by the way, was absolutely beautiful,
Gorgeous.
absolutely
Yeah.
stunning. Absolutely love that one.
What about David Munoz crashing in the same corner?
Oh no, like
Literally
man,
nearly making
does
the
not
same
learn.
mistake as well.
Yeah, he does not learn. He does not learn at all.
Do you know what he did do though? He remounted and took his double long lap penalty, so he didn't have to do it next week.
Good idea, to be honest. I rate that. I'm just trying to think of
Very
other
funny.
rumours I know. Binder to Grassini in Moto 2. Darren Binder. That
Oh yeah, I've
is.
seen that in your stories.
Yeah. Trying to think what else there are. There's a few others. Let's have a look. Archive. Stories archive. There's a posted on the close friend story. Let's have a look. Baltus to Fantic. That's it. Baltus
Oh
alongside Canet
yeah.
at Fantic. Obviously, Ryan Vickers confirmed to Motocross Ducati as well.
Yeah.
For
Meant to say that
2-year
earlier and
deal.
completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't
So,
expecting him to go straight to World Superbikes, I'm not gonna lie, that threw me. I was shocked. Thought he'd
yeah,
maybe
it's a
go
bit of a
World
surprise.
Supersport.
Nah, because he's on Superbike now, though, I guess, isn't he?
I know, but like I was like, where is gonna open up for him in Superbikes? So
Interesting one. I'll just ask my guy because he knows about rumors.
oh
So
my
I asked him about
god.
Furusato. Yeah, my guy, my bro. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Moto 3, interesting. Shall we do the predictions? So, Mazzano. Heading into
Okay.
Mazzano, I led with 634 points. Cameron was second with 449. Lauren third with 440. So in the first race, Furusato got pole, by the way, in Moto 3. So interesting, speaking of Furusato, I've been told he may move up to the Asian Moto 2 team, so his current team, and did a
Oh
test on
yeah.
the Moto 2 bike last year already. So Furusato might be Moto 2 headed. But again, pinch of salt, please, with his current team. Not really sure where that puts Sasaki, to be honest, but maybe Aji's out. Don't really know, but we'll see. But yeah, predictions. So I led, then Cameron, then Lauren. In Moto 3, I got Via in third and Alonso in second. I did have Alonso first, Via third, and then I had Holgado second. So I lost out with Holgado second, but then gained it with the off-track excursion
Tire.
to get Via third.
Oh,
So I got 41 points. Cameron scored 0 because he had Piqueras, Alonso, Furusato, and
I scored points.
you had Holgado, Piqueras, Alonso. So you got 20
Yay!
points. I had 41. So I lead with 675. You're up to 460, overtaking Cameron with 449. In Moto 2, I had Arbolino in third. So kind of quite lucky that he, yeah, kind of got lucky there.
See that? No, I'll never get over that because I was like, I've played that to perfection. Never mind Tony Arbolino. I was like, look at me go predicting Arbolino to win.
Yeah. Cameron, though, Canet pole. He also had Arbolino third and Canet second. So he scored 46 points, if my maths is correct. 16
You're
plus 20 plus
joking.
10, 46 points. So I now lead with 691. Cameron jumps up to 495. And then you're up still at 460.
I had Vietti on pole too. I was so annoyed
Yeah, yes, you
because I
did.
knew he would do well somewhere in the weekend, but oof.
I think I've actually messed up your MotoGP tally. I have. I'm going to have to dock 4 points off you there. Right, 10 points off you, sorry. Because I put 35 points on you in MotoGP when it should have been 25.
Oh, because I got the winner?
Yes. So in MotoGP, I had Bagnaia on pole. So I got 10 points for that. I also had Martin in second. So I got 20 points for that. So I got a total of 30 points to put my tally at 721. Cameron had Marquez third and Martin second to give him a 36-point score, putting him at 531. And Lauren, you got the winner at 25 points to have 485. So Cameron has not only overtaken you, but he's now 50 points ahead of you nearly.
Thank God he's not here. I don't think I could bear that.
Yeah, I'll put that in the group chat for Cameron. I'm sure that'll make him smile.
Like, I already have to deal with you and your points week in, week out. And now this has happened.
Yep.
This is what I mean, though. I went with Martin this week, whereas last week I went with Pecco.
Yeah.
And look what happens.
I know. Oh, Cameron just said oof in the group chat as well. Oh, I didn't put his. He wanted me to also give his take on the Enea and Martin controversy
Oh, yeah,
to
I
read
forgot
out.
about that.
So he said, ahem. People keep saying Enea wasn't making the apex as it was a dirty pass. IMO, in my opinion, he had to let the break off to make sure Martin knew he was there. Otherwise, they both would have went down. Enea could have made his normal line and made the apex, but Martin would have been at the apex too, and they could have collided. Firm but fair, in my opinion. And then, yes, he mentioned the fact that I got called a racist, communist VR46 fan and a paedophile for saying that Rossi did not intentionally knock Gibernau off in 2005.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, people on Facebook are mental. So.
The only time I see your post on Facebook is when my dad tags me in them.
Well, yeah, he does. And you're like, oh, wow, that's great.
I know this already, and he'll tag me and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, we've already talked about this in the group chat.
Bless him.
He uses you as his source for everything. I'm like, yeah, I know this already, Dad.
It's dodgy,
so, no, I don't read your Facebook comments, so maybe I should start.
Some of them are, pretty wild. But yeah, some guy just went nuts on me, and I was like, are you okay, bro?
Clearly not.
Clearly not. But yes, that's Cameron's opinion anyway on the Enea and Martin controversy. But yeah, and Cameron said 46 points clear. It's a sign. I don't know what sign it of, but okay.
Tommy Bradwell.
Oh yeah,
Racing
maybe.
in World Superbikes.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't do too well though, did he?
No. Well,
and he didn't even do the third race.
No,
I didn't. And I was thinking, he might beat Brad and beat Taron, but then I'm like, wait, no, because both of them beat him to a title, so why would he beat them? That's true.
Oh yeah, but he's at the head of his championship.
He was on the factory Honda as well. Yeah.
So, one, does he want to get involved in battles that aren't his to be involved with? And two, he's got to think about BSB. Like, imagine he crashed or something, injured himself.
Yeah, that's true.
Handing the championship to Kyle Ride.
Well, he's looking at having more wildcards next year, I saw. So, we'll see. Yeah, when is next BSB race? Let's have a look. Official. And then we will do the predictions. Is it really?
Donington Park.
Oh, yes. Donington Park.
And then it's Brands Hatch for the finale of the
showdown. Let's have a look. Yeah, Donington. Oh, yeah, this weekend. So we've got World Superbikes, Moto America, BSB, and MotoGP this weekend.
But you know the thing? MotoGP will be at the crack of dawn.
Oh,
so,
God. Yeah.
We'll have this all day.
Yeah. Nah, it should be good. I looked at the timetable for Friday and was like, oh God.
Yeah. I haven't looked yet because I'm too scared to look, so.
2:30 is when
see.
Moto3 FB1 ends.
Oh, no. I'll not be watching that.
I
I'm in
will.
work early on Saturday morning, so maybe I can make that work.
Maybe, yeah.
When's the sprint?
The sprint is at. Let's have a look. MotoGP.com calendar. It is at. Oh, and then the week after that we've got Japan. No sleep at all. The sprint is
No
at.
sleep. Bus. Club. Another club.
Hell yeah. 8 a.m. our time. The sprint is.
Oh, damn. I go to work. I'm meant to be at work at 8 a.m. That's
Ah,
so annoying. I was hoping it would be at like 7.
tell you what,
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
the amount of times I've been in a nightclub posting MotoGP results
The
is
amount of times I've
mental.
watched a MotoGP like practice or something in a nightclub is
Yeah.
ridiculous. I think even to the start of this year when I was on the other side of the world and I was FaceTiming people when Pedro got his first podium in MotoGP and I was out
Nice.
in a nightclub and I'm
In
like, wow,
Thailand.
look at this.
It's
Yeah.
mad.
So
There you go.
we're back to
Fun.
the crazy part of the year.
Oh, it's just awful.
I'm meant to be
It's
out on
fine.
Saturday night, so we could see a repeat, to
Oh,
be
so am
fair.
I. It's
Yeah.
gonna be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Podcast might be up a bit late next week.
Yeah, catching up on sleep. But yeah. Let's do his Moto3 predictions.
Yes.
So, Moto3
So where are
poll,
we? Indonesia?
Indonesia. Yeah. Let's see. I
Lovely
can't find
place.
last year's. I've got India written here. That's not right.
Oh,
Indonesia.
that's always.
There we go. It does mean I can find last year's results though. All right, I know. Hold on a minute. Sorry, it's been annoying. So last year, Moto3, it was Moreira pole, Alonso third, Munoz then Moreira winning the race.
Oh. Okay.
So Moto3 pole, I'm going to go Alonso. Cameron's gone Alonso.
Okay, I was gonna go Alonso too. That's a bit boring, but I want to score some points after that shit
Yeah.
show of a performance last week.
Yeah, fair point. Okay, so Alonso pole. Third, I'm going to go Holgado. Cameron's gone Via. You're going.
Where was Ortola at the weekend?
He was at Mazzano racing the race.
Yeah, but but where did he place in the race?
He played 5th.
Okay, I'm gonna go Picaras.
Okay. He's never raced in these conditions or outside of Europe, though. But you've already put him third, so nice. Okay.
Well, I don't want to change my mind, so.
No, you can't. Once you've said it, you said it. You know.
Well, I also don't want to change my mind.
Fair enough. I like it. You're sticking to it. I'm going Via
You
second.
thought I was gonna regret that. I'm sticking by it.
All right. Okay. Right. Well, I've gone Via second. Cameron's gone Holgado second, and you've gone.
I'm also gonna go Holgado second.
Okay. Munoz was on the podium here last year, which is interesting. It doesn't take a genius to work out who me and Cameron have put a winner. I'll have Alonso.
Yeah, I'm gonna go David Alonso too.
Yeah, I thought you would.
What do you mean? It
It's
doesn't
the
take
obvious choice.
doesn't take a genius to work out who any of us have put for the win.
Yeah, it's true. Right. So in Moto 2, last year, Canet got pole, Aldeguer third, Canet second, Acosta first. Of course, Canet was second. So.
Alright, let's put him right back in there.
I've literally put him second already.
No, me too.
Right, so I've got Canet pole, Cameron's got a Guru pole, you've got.
Who have you gone? Canet?
Yeah. Just because he got
Cameron
pole there
went
last year.
Agura?
Yeah.
That's actually a difficult one. Do you know what? I'm just gonna go Canet too. I need points at this stage. It's not,
Okay.
It's not funny anymore.
In third, Cameron's gone Arbolino. I've gone Aldeguer to stick on last year. Because again, flyaways, he was very good. And you've gone.
I'm gonna go Agura.
Nice. Okay. For the win, me and Cameron have gone. No, wait, second, we've all gone Canet.
Second?
Yeah, we've all
yeah.
gone Canet. Me and Cameron have gone Agura to win.
Can you guess?
Sorry?
Can you guess?
Albolino.
Mm. Yep.
Nice.
If I keep predicting it, it'll happen
Oh,
eventually.
yeah. That's it. Broken clock is right twice a day. So, right. Last year's Indonesian pole was Marini. Can't see that happening this year.
What?
Yeah. Crazy.
That's mad to think about that. Like,
Yeah,
he
that
would have been
is.
like winning races and on the podium last year.
Maybe not winning races, but yeah, on the podium.
Did he not win a race?
No, he's never won a race
He never
in
won a sprint?
MotoGP. No, don't think so.
Oh.
Luca Marini win. I'm looking now. Let's have a look. Sprints. No, he's had a few thirds and that's it.
Oh.
Hmm.
Never mind. Well, podiuming and getting pole positions then apparently a year ago. Wow.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? The Honda effect.
Who was on the podium?
It was Fabio Quartararo, Vinales, and Martin who won it. So I'm going to go Martin to win. But I'm also putting Martin on pole. So is Cameron.
See, I don't. Yeah, no, I'm going to stick with Martin because I'm clearly on the opposite schedule of them and their mistakes.
Yeah, me too, to be
So if
fair.
I stick rather than switching,
Yeah.
hopefully
Hopefully it'll land at some point.
again,
Nice.
a broken clock is right 2 times.
That's it. Cameron's got Bagnaia to win the sprint. I've got Marc Marquez.
I'm
And
going
you
Martin.
have... Okay. Right. Second place. No, not second. Third place. I've gone Marc Marquez. Cameron's gone Bagnaia. Who are you going for?
And third,
Yeah.
Anea.
Bastianini. In second, me and Cameron have got Martin. And you've
I'm
gone...
going to go Marc Marquez.
Okay, interesting. Cameron's got Marc Marquez to win. I've got Bastianini to win. And you're covering your face because you've got...
I'm going to go Martin.
Oh, okay. So neither of us, me and you, are picking Bagnaia on the box.
That's bold.
Interesting.
That's
That is...
really bold. I realised what I'd done as soon as I did it.
It's all right. I'm in the same boat, so it's fine.
Oh, but see, this is the thing. Pecco made the mistake this week, so it's probably Martin's time to make the mistake this week. So maybe I should have switched.
We'll see. Because he did win in Indonesia last year. And who?
God.
MotoGP Indonesia 2023. Let's have a look. Last year. Wait, is my thing wrong? Hold on a minute.
Oh.
Qualifying, Moto2, I don't care about that. MotoGP Sprint, Martin, Marini, Bezzecchi. Race. Oh, I've got Martin down has won last year. Bagnaia won, then Vinales, then Quartararo.
Oh dear.
Guess who crashed out of the race though? Jorge Martin. Oh God.
I should have switched.
Oh dear.
Because Pecco made the mistake this week, so it's Martin's turn to take the mistake next week.
Oh God.
I'm an idiot.
Bamboozled yourself.
I am stupid.
Is that the Charles Leclerc? Yeah. Nice. Well, on that dramatic ending to this podcast.
And on that note.
Yeah. And on that bombshell, it's time to finish the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed listening. But next weekend, albeit quite tired, I think, but still full of life as always. Hopefully there won't be too much chaos next weekend in Indonesia. And we'll be back to talk about it again next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.